Handley Judges get the victory, improving to 3-0 here at the Handley Bowl, 42-12 over Brentsville District. It started off slow for the Handley Judges, but they got in a rhythm defensively, a huge key in the early part of the game. Offensively, flashes from Will Yoder, who caught a big touchdown pass in the back of the end zone from quarterback Duncan Hensler, and defensively too, Will Yoder with a pick six. A lot of excitement from this Handley Judges team as they get the victory over Brentsville District. The postgame show's coming up next. Interviews with Coach Jake Smith and more right here on the Kirby on Sports podcast. A playmaker on both sides of the football in the Judges' 42-point victory over Brentsville. Will Yoder joining me, had an athletic touchdown catch back of the end zone and a pick six. You were all over the place, my friend. How did it feel?
It felt great to be out there with my guys. We've been battling. We battled through some adversity early on in the game, like punt block. That didn't look good. They went up 6-0. We came back. We battled 21-6 at halftime, and then after that, we just came out and we just gave them the work.
How did it feel handling some of that adversity, and it seemed like the team clicked after that adversity? How does that feel knowing that this team, this bunch, after having some negative plays causing that adversity, to come back and produce greater results after that?
Yeah, I mean, we played as a team. That's what the matter is. And I think JoJo, he's a great leader on our team, and Duncan, he's a young quarterback. You know how it goes with young quarterbacks. They can be a little shaky at times, but he battled through it. He looked great. He dropped me that perfect pass in the end zone, and we battled. We played as a team.
And how did it feel offensively, just the rest of the team? It looked like a lot of explosive plays, which Coach Smith really likes to preach about, those explosive plays. Just collectively, what do you think of the entire offense?
So overall, I think we had a couple mistakes, a couple of snaps over the quarterback's head, a couple, mishaps where we ran the wrong routes, little stuff we can fix. But overall, I think the explosive plays were there, and we did a great job.
And just building off of this game, I know there's probably some work like you mentioned, but after getting a win, how huge is it building that confidence that you can work towards getting even better results?
Yes, sir. 3-0. I mean, that's the greatest you can be, so we love that. We're looking to be 4-0 next week against Skyline.
Will, really appreciate the time. Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Quarterback Duncan Hensler joining me. Big one out there, Duncan. Offense clicked pretty well towards the back half of the game. Just take me through what you saw in the eyes as your quarterback.
I think we were just locking in. We weren't playing too well, and then we decided to really just step it up and made plays when they were needed.
How huge is that, the group that you all have? A slow start early in the game, but coming back and responding positively by making some pretty big plays. How huge is that with the team that you have early on?
I think we did a good job of coming back. I mean, we started slow, and then we were able to just make changes, make adjustments, and then based off what the defense gave us, we were able to attack the spots where they were weak, and I think we did a good job of that.
Well, what stood out to you about the offensive line? I saw you take off for a couple good runs and some space in the pocket to launch some deep balls as well. I know you had 2 touchdown passes, 2 good ones. So just take me through what you saw out of your line.
I think they're great. We have a great O-line, and they were able to make calls and pick up blitzes, and it's really well for us. And I think that they do a good job of protecting me, and they give me enough time to do what I need to do.
So just a win like this, how does it feel getting a win for confidence moving forward with the thought that there's still more that this team can improve on to boost your potential?
I think we have a very high ceiling. I think what we played today was bare minimum. I think we can be way better than what we were. We came out sloppy, but then we fixed it in the end, and it was really good, and we looked really solid.
Duncan, really appreciate the time. Congrats on the win.
Of course, thank you.
Head coach of the Handley Judges, Jake Smith, joining me here. Big win against Brentsville. Coach, first off, just the start of the game, I know probably something you didn't want to see, but some adversity that your team had. And how do you think they handled that adversity after that and just building better results throughout the game?
I think in the first half, defensively, we executed lights out. I think offensively is the exact opposite of that. We didn't execute well at all in the first half of that football game. And it wasn't anything that they were doing differently or anything like that. I mean, we failed to execute basic things. And so it put us into some really rough situations early. And so, you got to give credit to our guys for continuing to battle and get after it and not let those negative, plays impact the rest of the game. I mean, it's something we talk about all the time, that no singular play, is going to be defined, or no singular game is going to be defined by one singular play. And so, I think we did a good job of responding to that today.
And offensively, you preach about the explosive plays, and starting with Will, a touchdown catch and a pick six, too, on both sides of the football. How versatile is seeing Will out there making some big plays?
Yeah, Will's an exceptional athlete. He's an extremely smart football player. He's done a ton of work in the last year to change his body. I mean, he's heavier, he's faster, he can jump higher. And so, you add that to, the head that he has on his shoulders, and you have a pretty good football player. And so we expect those things out of Will. We see them every day in practice, and so it was great for him to be able to get that translated on the game field today.
And just talk to me about the rest of the offense in terms of the explosive plays. And I know Duncan had some pretty nice balls to some receivers as well. Just take me through what stood out to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we missed some reads early on in the pass game. But, as the game transpired and we settled down a little bit, we were able to hit some of those. Duncan made some good decisions. It was good to see, Amari catch a touchdown on that corner. It was a great route, great catch. And then just the versatility we have at the tailback position and rotating guys in and out of there, between Jameer, Jalen, and Amari. I think that was, highlighted today as well.
And sort of Jameer, Jalen, and Amari, like you said, sort of not putting the load all on one person. How huge is that you're able to split the load and they're still able to make the good things happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think it keeps guys fresh, particularly late in the game, and that's something that we talk about, regularly. And so, as a result of that, those guys have fresh legs going into quarter 3 and 4, and it definitely makes a difference.
Yeah, so defensively, too, you mentioned early in the game they stood strong, and just the amount of energy that was defensively, no matter how big or how small the play, how huge was that?
Oh, it was great. I mean, they played on a short field most of the night, so that's a tough challenge for any defense, anytime the ball is in plus territory. And so they did a great job of rising to the occasion and keeping it out of the end zone.
And I know you mentioned some of the things that early in the game with some of the mistakes that happened, but how huge is it getting a win against Brentsville in terms of correcting those mistakes off of a win to tell your team, hey, we can get even better and better for weeks to come?
Yeah, I mean, Brentsville's a good football team, They displayed that in week 1. They're extremely well coached. They came in and had a great game plan, and their kids, executed to the best of their ability. And so, you got to take your hat off to them for coming in here and being prepared and being well coached. And so, with the mistakes that we made and still being able to come out with a win, I think it's a good thing, in the sense that we're going to be able to go back to the film, all right, and evaluate that film and then move forward from there and get those mistakes corrected, and so it's easier oftentimes, when you win a game to go back and look at the negative aspects that transpired in it and get better moving forward.
And just last but not least, first game at home at the Handley Bowl, and you have assistant coach L.A. Anderson getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. Can you just touch on L.A. and his impact to this football program?
Yeah, I mean, L.A., obviously, he was a great player. He was a great athlete while he was here at Handley and then, in his collegiate career. And so, being able to have him on our staff is great for a number of reasons. Number one, he's born and raised in Winchester, spent most of his life here. He knows everybody in this community. He knows most of our kids. He's known most of these guys since they were, 5 or 6 years old, maybe, playing, basketball at AAU and that sort of thing. And so those are all great attributes. But, what he brings to the table as a coach is, unmatched positivity, relatability, and, knowledge of the game. I mean, so, we're very fortunate to have LA as a member of our staff here at Handley.
There you have it, the Handley Judges with a win over Brentsville, joined post-game by the head coach of the Judges, Jake Smith. Coach, really appreciate the time, sir.
Yeah, man, thanks for having me.